afternoon and welcome to the People's Voice on VOP Television, where the stories that shape our nation take center stage. As we mark the midpoint of 2025, Nigeria is at a crossroad, grappling with the complexities of politics, security, and social change. But today on the show, we'll dive into the most pressing issues that demands our attention. My name is Adefunke Jayesimi. And let's start with the political landscape in Nigeria, as Peter Obi, the Labour Party's 2023 presidential flag bearer, has sent shockwaves through the nation, confirming his intention to run for president in the year 2027. This comes on the heels of speculation about potential coalition talks and joint tickets with other political parties. But Obi's statement is significant given his massive following, the expectation surrounding his candidacy, and his stance on the coalition. He emphasized that if there is any agreement that would restrict him to be in office for more than 4 years, he would comply and he would be ready to leave office come May 28, 2031. That's if he's been voted for and becomes president in 2027. However, his stance has raised concerns about the mission of the coalition talks, which aim to bring together various stakeholders to achieve a common goal. You already know, the common goal is to unseat President Ballot in 2027. With Obi's assertion, questions arise about the viability of these talks and whether all hands will indeed be on deck. What does this mean for Nigeria's political future, and how will this impact the Labour Party's fortunes and, of course, the coalition talks, the coming together of different political giants? What exactly will be the end result? We are here for it. We will bring you details as we continue to follow up with this story. But meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress APC is navigating a new chapter. It's no longer news, with Abdullahi Ganduje's resignation as the national chairman. Ali Bukar Dalori is taking the reins, chairing his first National Working Committee meeting today. This development comes as the party reportedly considering endorsing Tanko Al-Makura as its national chairman, with the APC North Central Forum backing his candidacy. But it's interesting to see that Dalori's new role may also be seen as a signal regarding Vice President Kashim Shettima's potential bid for a second term, given that both Dalori and Shettima hail from the same region. And with the way the calculations are going, the permutations and what political parties do with zoning, I think it's easy to add one or two together, but you can't be too sure with politicians. But one thing is certain is the All Progressives Congress APC signaling a one-term limit for the vice president, that's Vice President Kashim Shettima, or is there more to this development that we do not know yet? Well, we are here for it. Questions about what the party's true intentions are and how will this also affect the leadership shift within the APC, the internal dynamics and its chances in the future. A lot of people are expecting drama the days ahead. Some are saying that it might just be a well-thought move. But whatever the situation is, you can't hide pregnancy for so long. And even if you're able to hide it for 9 months, you can't even hide when the child finally comes to life. So, amidst all of the political maneuvering, Nigerians are also yearning for safety and security. We are witnessing glimmers of hope, like the dramatic release of the Benue State Transport Company passengers, which held captive for a week. The passengers were abducted on June 22, 2025, while traveling from Ogun State to Benue State. After a tense week, the kidnappers released them, with 2 passengers currently receiving medical attention for critical conditions, but no life has been lost so far. We are grateful to God for that. But what does this development say about the security situation in Nigeria, and what measures are being taken to prevent such incidents in the future? Or are there measures in place following the visit of the president to Benue State? Or is it that the government is not taking it easy with insurgents in this country? Because there's also the story of a notorious bandit kingpin, Kachala Yellow Dambo Kolo, who has reportedly been killed in a gun battle with Shinkafi volunteer forces in Zamfara State. Some good news, you would agree. But Dambo Kolo was known for his brutal activities in the northwest region, and his death has been celebrated by many. When people have been through so much in the hands of one person, it definitely calls for celebration. But what implications does this have for the security situation in the state and the region at large, and how will it impact the government's efforts to tackle banditry? Yeah, these are the stories in the news, the top stories in the news. But as we explore these stories and more, we will be asking the questions on your mind and seeking answers, and also amplifying the voices that matters most, which is your voices. So let's hear from you. Join us as we dissect the issues, challenge the narratives, and celebrate the resilience of the Nigerian spirit. The number to call in or text us via WhatsApp is 090-447-32-605. 090-447-32-605 is the number to call or text via WhatsApp, and you can follow us on all social media platforms at VOP TV Live, and tweet us using the hashtag People's Voice on VOP TV. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV. Kindly hit the subscribe button and let's make our voices heard and shape the narrative that affects every one of us. Thank you so much for being with us so far. We will be right back after this short break, and when we return, we'll be diving straight into the politicking ahead of 2027 with a deep dive into Peter Obi's tough decisions on his presidential ambition. Please stay tuned. Many thanks for staying with the People's Voice on VOP television. So it's no longer news, but in case you don't know it, the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has confirmed his intention to run for president in 2027, reassuring his supporters that he will contest the post. He addressed speculation about being part of a coalition as a running mate, insisting that he hasn't entered into any of such agreement. According to Peter Obi, if there's any agreement that would restrict him to 4 years in office, he will comply and be ready to leave office by May 28, 2031 if he wins the election. He also emphasized that the coalition talks are about rescuing Nigeria and aligning with patriotic Nigerians. Obi stated that if the coalition isn't about addressing pressing issues like killings in Benue and Zamfara State, reviving the Nigerian economy, and putting food on the tables of everyday Nigerians, he wouldn't be interested. He also now urged Nigerians to join him in rescuing the country, promising to bring stability within 2 years in office. That's a strong one. He also spoke about the crisis in the Labour Party, saying that steps have been taken to get INEC to endorse the Nenadi Usman-led National Caretaker Committee. And on rotation of the presidency, Obi believes in alternating between the North and the South, citing his experience as governor of Anambra State. He outlined his priorities for the first 100 days in office. I mean, this seemed like a very serious business. He already talked about his first 100 days in office. He would be focusing on security, education, and poverty eradication in the country. And he has promised to cut costs, shun corruption, and channel funds to critical sectors. He also emphasized on the importance of a strong opposition and preventing elected officials from defecting to other parties. I mean, this is more like a manifesto, but it's quite important at a time like this, reassurance, because we already know who Peter Obi is. He has a large following, and of course, there have been talks around coalition, there have been speculations, a lot of plus and minuses, calculation, permutations as to what the expectations are for 2027. So he has come out to reassure his followers, saying that it's not in his agenda to be running mate to anybody. He has not entered into any agreement with any coalition. But for him, it's about the masses, it's about the Nigerian people. But it's never a one-man show on People's Voice. I'm being joined now in the studio by VOP TV in-house senior analyst, Mr. Dele Fanimo, to help us dissect this topic and more. Good afternoon, Mr. Fanimo, and welcome to the show.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for doing this with us over and over again. This is the end of the first half of the year.
Yeah.
Hope to be a part of the second half of the year too.
Sure, by the grace of God.
All right, so let's start by understanding Peter Obi's position in all of this that's been said. Mr. Peter Obi has confirmed his intention, His Excellency, to run for presidency in 2027, but has also expressed willingness to honor a one-term deal if it serves the interests of the country. What implications does this have for his presidential ambition and the opposition coalition?
Well, in this part of the world, a lot of things will be at play for us to believe what any politician tells us. We have seen in the past where politicians will tell us that this is what they want to do, but as soon as they get into power, I could recall that Jonathan was giving an impression that he was going to make do with just 2011 and he will quit by 2015 when he would have served 6 years. Somehow, I don't know what usually comes over them, that as soon as they are close to that promised date, something will just change and there will be a new song. But Peter Obi has demonstrated some measure of credibility in matching his words with action.
Like?
Particularly when he was in Anambra State.
Okay.
He promised that he was going to do so many things, and within the period of his tenure, he was able to achieve some of those things, if not all. So, by that token, then secondly, it is an unwritten rule that power should rotate from the south to the north within 8 years. And so, already, either President Tinubu comes back, or Peter Obi wins and he stays there, or even Wike, or anybody.
Or Rotimi Amechi.
Or Rotimi Amechi, whoever. Now, the unwritten rule is that Tinubu would have done 4.
The next
then
person
whoever comes in
takes another 4.
Another 4. And don't forget that the North has an ace over us in the South. Population, demography, and other parameters that they can use to hold the South to ransom. And so, whoever is making this promise, except he has some other plans, even without making it, it's a given. But these are just conjectures. We are not really there yet, and nobody has won. For us to say, exactly. The only person that cannot run, if he wins, is Tinubu. But Amechi, El-Rufai, Atiku, Peter Obi, any other person that comes will be doing just first term. And the Constitution allows maximum of 2 terms or 4 years, which is 8. And the Constitution has not been amended.
So agreeing to serve 1 term
it's a convention. It's not cast in iron. It's not in the Constitution. It's not in the Electoral Act that presidency should rotate from the south to the north or vice versa.
But so, they've made it, you said it's an unwritten law. We've heard this over and over again. If he chooses to go this way, what's the implication on the coalition talks?
You see, I keep saying that there is nothing like coalition. I've not seen any coalition.
Up to now?
Up to now.
With the ADA, with the ADC,
you know how many,
different
special
project
vehicles. You know how many vehicles they have boarded and abandoned midway. And they have not even started the journey. They went briefly to SDP, and then SDP couldn't contain them. They went to ADC. Now they are in ADA.
But they're talking about returning to ADC if they can't go through with the ADA registration.
You see, for me, I would have loved Obi to strengthen his base and galvanize people using the obedient movement as the launch pad, as the base. This coalition is fraught with deceit. Atiku, till thy kingdom come, as long as he breathes, he wants to be president of this country.
Exactly.
So anybody that is thinking that Atiku on his own terms will say, Obi go, Amechi go, El-Rufai go, we'll be daydreaming. And there is this grandeur of delusion that is affecting somebody like El-Rufai. He doesn't have political capital anymore. The only thing he can do is just to queue behind those who have that political capital and then maximize his gains.
Okay, so let's talk about the fate and the unity of the coalition now, because the proposed opposition coalition has met with a lot of skepticism, and you have also come up with your own thoughts on this too. But some critics have also questioned the unity and viability of this coalition. What are your thoughts on the coalition's chances of success, and how can it overcome potential challenges? Because you rightly said that an Atiku Abubakar will not, is not even visible. It's not even, there's nobody in the political space that would wake up to say that Atiku Abubakar will allow anybody to run outside himself. In an interview last week, Akim Ahmed was talking about the major political players in this opposition coalition stepping back, taking a seat at behind, and supporting younger aspirants, which we know that is almost an impossibility. So what are the chances of the success of this coalition, and how can it overcome potential challenges?
The chances are...
Because that's the alternative Nigerians have. If you really want to unseat Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then...
There is no alternative in that group.
In that coalition.
I'll tell you straight. That house was built on quicksand, and wind will blow it away, because it is a combination of unbridled ambition, vendetta, vengeance, malice.
But a lot of that also came together to birth the All Progressives Congress, APC, in 2014.
No, All Progressive Congress came because there was an arrowhead, which was Buhari. And everybody felt he has that integrity mantra. And he has followership over the years.
But Atiku contested in that same
Just
primary
wait.
And allowed a Buhari, regardless of
he had
the
no
outcome.
choice. Buhari was like a moving train in 2014. He had no choice at that time. Who could have upset Buhari with the strong political capital that he was bringing to the coalition? Buhari started with ANPP.
Right.
Later APP. CPC. Before finally arriving at
APC.
And the only thing that was working against Buhari at that time was that handshake beyond the Niger.
Yeah.
Which he got
to spread his wing beyond the north.
Which he got from ACN. And so it was complete.
So ACN was more like the southern bloc, while the CPC was the northern bloc.
Exactly.
But with all the persons coming together in the ADA right now, or the coalition...
Who are the people coming together? I've listed 4.
There is David Mark, there is
Atiku
Abubakar, there is Rotimi Amechi, there is El-Rufai, there is Peter Obi that is part of the conversation, even though he has not said anything concrete.
David Mark is a spent politician. So you don't bother to factor him at all in this equation. Amechi is coming with vendetta. I was humiliated by the current president during primaries that they had to sulk, So he feels I need to take my pound of flesh. That is why he's in that bed.
Right.
El-Rufai felt injured because they betrayed him by reloading him to public ridicule and shame by allowing him to face the Senate.
And still not
and still they truncated his ambition of becoming a minister. So it's payback time. Then Atiku is driven by unbridled ambition. just get power for power's sake. Let me just sit for once on that presidential seat.
But some people see that it's beyond that, because some have said that as vice president,
look,
he was able
Peter Obi will talk. Let me analyze the four.
Okay.
Peter Obi came, he rode on the crest of obedience. He also showed Nigerians that there could be alternative, better alternative.
Right.
And he feels that he needs to get there to showcase what he has done in the past and replicate what good governance is at federal level, which is also legitimate. Now, among these four, show me the one that is ready to step down and take the back seat.
Well, it's
none.
It's unfortunate that the answer is none. But let's talk about Peter Obi's priority.
Have you ever seen a car that is driven by four people?
Tesla might just create one.
It will crash.
I mean, Tesla might create one. But I want us to dwell more on Peter Obi's priorities, because Peter Obi has emphasized the need for the coalition to focus on pressing national issues like insecurity, economic revival, and of course food production, which are very important for everyday citizens. But how can he ensure that these priorities are reflected in the coalition's agenda and policies? Because so far, the coalition just seems like a project that is all out against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's candidacy and government. Is there more that can be done?
You see, when you talk about opposition, the most potent weapon of opposition in any government anywhere in the world is its ability to see through policies and its implementation by the sitting government.
Okay.
Pick holes where they ought to do better and then proffer solutions to some of those problems that bedevils the country. I'm not talking about Nigeria now, anywhere.
Exactly, but for us in Nigeria, they say it's not their job to tell the government what to do. I mean, we saw a party told me with the shadow government and all of that.
The question you ask yourself is, either in opposition or in government, the good of the country should be paramount. Is that not so?
But the kind of politics we play in this part of the world,
it's
about knowing everything that is right till you get into office. And for the coalition now, you see them always likening the case of coming together to how APC came together. If they're going to talk about opposition can protest and the likes, they keep talking about how Bola Ahmed Tinubu was able to lead a protest alongside many other political figures or the political elite at the time against the then Jonathan administration. So is our politics in this part of the world standard? Is there a particular standard that is being used to measure politics, or we are just a different breed entirely?
The point is, we don't have a standard.
And we're not trying to create one.
The standard is predicated on the whims and caprices of those who have the wherewithal, the war chest, to prosecute their agenda. Show me any of these people. Is it Atiku that went to Dubai and became an ambassador of Nigeria to Dubai without being appointed? And occasionally instructs his press boys in Nigeria to write statements that is an opposition. Is it Amishi that have not been talking, rather than the other time he went for, I think, a workshop or retreat that he was just blabbing?
Yeah, ahead of his birthday, and also used his birthday as a platform to express himself.
That he governed the state, and the state was in chaos, in crisis for the better part of his 8 years. Somebody came in there in less than 2 years.
And everything that seemed impossible became possible.
So what is that kind of person going to say? Because before you can abuse me for not doing the right thing, you must stand on a very strong pedestal.
Right. And
say, yes, I was once there, probably at a lower level. This was what I did. I made sure I had enough structures on ground to fight insecurity, and I was on top of my game for 8 years. Go back and check. Can El Rufai go back to Kaduna and say that he cannot. In fact, he dare not go around southern Kaduna the way they will attack him.
Man, different governors, different style of governance.
Amechi was neither here nor there when he was a governor of Rivers State. What Amechi did in 8 years, by the time Wike was there for about 3 years, he had surpassed it in terms of infrastructural development and all that. So what are they going to signpost? Or is it Atiku that is superintendent over BP, Bureau of Public Enterprise, and brought this El-Rufai? You know, he was the one that brought El-Rufai to that government. And show me one state asset that was sold in BP that is still functioning the way it should function today. So what opposition will somebody like Atiku? The only person that can stand tall and stay on the pedestal and people will look twice and listen to is Peter Obi among those people. And they are not likely to give him that chance.
Of course, it looks that way. But let's also talk about Labour Party's role, because the Labour Party has endorsed Peter Obi's participation in coalition talks. But in all of this, what role do you see the party playing in the proposed coalition, and how might Peter Obi's candidacy impact the party's future? Because if they lose out on Peter Obi's candidacy, then I don't think there's much that would or might be said about the party, apart from having an Alex Otie as the governor.
I've always said one.
Since some of their members in the House of Assembly, the campaign.
Nobody was in Labour Party during 2023 election. Nobody. They only used that vehicle to transport them to wherever they wanted to go. The only person they were following was they were flying on the wings of Peter Obi,
movement,
not on Labour Party. Where were they in the last 3 elections? The Okada man that ran for House of Representative in Kaduna, why didn't he run before 2023 when Obi was not in Labour Party? The only person that had brought Labour Party to political map in Nigeria is Mimiko. Former governor of
but I think Femi was, even though he did not win the election, but he was also...
As soon as he won that election, what did he do?
It wasn't immediately.
No, as soon as he won.
I know it's your state, but it wasn't immediately.
Of course, he wouldn't have the camp immediately.
It wasn't immediately. There was still something to hold on to say that, okay, Mimiko, Iroko Deo, and it was Labour Party. But in all of these conversations, I think that the most important part of the talks is our expectations as citizens. So, as Nigerians look ahead to the 2027 elections, what key issues should we prioritize when evaluating potential candidates and coalitions? And how can we also hold elected officials accountable for addressing pressing national issues? So it's a 2-in-1 question. What should we be looking forward to when evaluating potential candidates or coalitions? And how can we hold these officials accountable? Because you just cited many of these people were not even a member of the party, but at me, something happened and they have results to show for it. So what can we do differently?
You see, the problem we have in this country is like we don't factor so many things. And sometimes when we get to the point at which we want to actualize those factors,
right,
a lot of inducements and extraneous things will make us back out. I'll give you an instance. 2 days to last Ekiti election that produced Oyebanji,
right,
I was an observer in that election in Ekiti. I traveled from Ado-Ekiti to Ifaki to other areas in Ekiti, and the sing song was Segun Oni is the candidate. Because Segun Oni did well during his tenure before the court sacked him, to the extent that the incoming governor, Fayemi, when he was asked, he said he has nothing to prove about Segun Oni's administration. Because he was so Spartan that he will not use money from one overhead and move it to another overhead because of fund constraints. His roads are still standing. The last security vote came 24 hours before that judgment. He returned it back to Treasury intact. Didn't take it away. So those were enough. And Nigeria, the Ekiti people were ready to vote him. But as soon as money came, they were brandishing it that this 10,000 naira.
Who cook a new pot of soup?
So if we sit here and begin to say, okay, these are the parameters.
What Nigeria should look forward
we should let money come in. It will destroy those parameters.
So
accountability will take flight.
What are you going to say?
Transparency will take flight.
What are you going to say to us regardless?
Regardless, I will say maybe we should be working on our psyche and our value system that have been greatly eroded.
Right.
To the point that you now know that 10,000 naira qualifies you to eat one day in lieu of 4 months of suffering.
4 months or 4 years?
4 years of suffering. And if you reduce that 10,000 naira, if you divide it by 4 years, for each year you have 2,500.
So are you saying that people? Are you saying that a politician who induce people with money would not function?
They will not function. Somebody who sold his father's house, you think he doesn't want to come back and build that mansion? Okay, why are banks running after these elected officials? As soon as they win election, they will say collateral free 100 million for so that you can change your wardrobe, you can look like a House of Rep member, you can look like a senator. Why? Whereas go to bank and say you want 20 million naira loan for SME, they will not. In fact, the orders they will give you, you will know that you won't be able to pay back.
Well, that's true. I quite agree with you. I think that it's important that we work on our value system. A lot of things have gone bad because of how people have gone morally bankrupt. This is something to consider, but at the end of the day, you can help people make their choices or decisions. But we're hopeful we continue to follow these stories, and 2027 is a year where Nigerians will make tough decisions, and I'm sure you will make decisions that you'll be proud of. But let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll come to talk about how effective local forces can be in combating insurgencies in our communities. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with the People's Voice on VOP television. And yeah, we're still talking about the news, conversations that matters most to you. Let's talk about something away from politics and talk about security now. So the Shinkafi volunteer forces have killed notorious bandit kingpin Kashala Yellow Dambokolo in Zamfara state after a gun battle. Dambokolo, believed to be the mastermind behind the terror attacks in the region, was considered even more dangerous than his cousin, Ballot, who is thought to be a mere spokesperson. The death of Dambokolo and over 173 of his fighters has sparked jubilation among local communities in Zamfara state who have been terrorized by these bandits for a very long time. So here are the key details of the incident. Dambokolo and over 173 bandits were killed in the attack. It was a fire for fire, but it was overpowered, and yes, there's jubilation in that community. The impact of bandits is the fact that the strikes on Toji main stronghold have devastated the bandits, leaving many in a state of fear and confusion. Some of their loyalists are currently seeking to surrender, believing that their days are numbered. But what plans do the government have in terms of absorbing these people back to the society? Personally, a lot of analysts have argued that it is wrong to absorb people that have inflicted so much pain on people back to the society in the name of rehabilitation. But we'll look forward to how things pan out. The residents also, particularly farmers, are celebrating, hoping they won't have to pay taxes to bandits in the upcoming farming season. If you wonder why they are celebrating, so these bandits actually are like a government within the state. So farmers, villagers, people within the community get to pay them taxes apart from what they pay to the government. They get to pay them taxes, and I mean, they literally live by their rules, but looks like all of that is coming to an end now. But the community has also thanked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his intervention. But some have also talked about the DSS involvement. The DSS, Department of State Services, has maintained silence on their role in the operation, while the volunteer forces reference support from the agencies. And we are looking at the potential implication, which is reduced banditry. Local community members believe that this could mark the beginning to the end of banditry in the region. On Toji Bello's situation, it's been reported that, I mean, he doesn't have any hiding place and is desperately seeking amnesty for himself and his foot soldiers. But what's the decision of the government? How would the government act on this request? Or maybe just our thoughts, but either ways, what is priority is the people of Zamfara State, the locals who have been dealt with the need to enjoy what freedom truly means and be able to live freely within that community. So let's delve deeper into the story of the Shinkafi Volunteer Forces killing bandit commander Dambokolo in Zamfara State. Let me come back to my guest. I see have with me in the studio Mr. Dele Fanimo, helping us dissect these stories. Again, Mr. Fanimo, thank you for doing this with us.
Always my pleasure.
Yeah, so how will Dambokolo's death affect the banditry situation in Zamfara and the northwest region at large? I mean, will this lead to a decrease in attacks and kidnapping? Will the people be able to do more?
You see, I think to the memory of Umaru Shinkafi, the former NSO that transformed to SSS and DSS, I think these people that have done so well to honor his memory.
Right.
Now, straight to your question. Let me tell you, I've always said it. It is just political will. These are riffraffs. The so-called bandits.
Mr. Fanimo, you call them riffraffs?
They are riffraffs.
But
it's just like you are fighting a toddler. And somebody ties your hand behind you and your leg in chain.
Wow.
There's no way that toddler will not defeat you. Because any little thing he or she does would affect you and have impact on your psyche, not just the physical wound. When you know that you have the capability of fighting, but unfortunately you cannot fight because somebody somewhere is restraining you from fighting. You can't be happy. And that has been the problem with insurgencies proliferation in Nigeria.
Wow.
Because government does not have the political will. I was waiting for you to read out. I knew that those vigilante guys were not the one that did that operation. They only assisted the security forces.
Exactly. I was coming to the DSS because they've come to thank the president. They've talked about the DSS, but nothing has been said. What role do you think that the Department State of Service played in this operation?
DSS is secret police.
So they are not supposed to blow their trumpets?
They are not supposed to announce whatever they did. They're supposed to go in there, tactically take out those who are troubling the state, and then retreat back to their various formations. Shikena. But the beauty of all this is the fact that for the first time, we are now seeing why state police should be approved.
Exactly, because I mean, dealing with local community vigilantes is quite important to the extent that they even witness his burial. So this one is not hearsay or he's dead today, then tomorrow we are seeing his picture anywhere. What do you think can be done to empower local policing or vigilantes if we will not approve the policing right now?
They would approve. You see, sometimes people say, maybe I'm a soothsayer. I'm not a soothsayer. I'm relying on the past to shape the present and then hazard guesses to what will happen in future. There is no way they will not approve state police. The case of Shinkafi is a clear testimony of what benefit will be derived if we have state police. That Dakolo, what do they call his name?
Dambokolo.
Dambokolo. In the first instance, he's not even a Nigerian. Like his cousin, Toji
Bello.
They chased them from Niger. The total population of soldiers in Niger is now up to 1 div in Nigeria. But they dealt with them and chased them out. So what do you think would have made them so comfortable, relaxed in Nigeria, if not the fact that people in government were aiding and abetting them? Now, it has touched them. It's just like if you see the old cars in Mafoluku, if you have not touched the DPO or DCO's car, we are investigating. But the day you touch DPO, arrest will be made.
Like I always tell you, you don't even have to touch DPO's car. Just touch DPO's
girlfriend's car.
Favorite girlfriend's car.
It won't be we are investigating. Right. It now becomes we have arrested and we have recovered the car.
Right.
Now, that thing in Benue has shown that nowhere is safe. It is no longer a religious war that we are made to believe. That people say, no, leave them, oh, they are our Muslim brothers. Hey, you cannot touch them. Are they not killing Muslims?
Communal clash.
Or communal clash. I said it here when they were saying communal clash. Anybody that is fighting communal clash, you know where person from community A is coming from, right, and where he will retreat after fighting. You know community B, where he is coming from. You know where he will retreat to. And in some cases, most of the communities that do communal clash, they are contiguous to each other. So
another
they know
good
themselves.
News, even the kidnapped people in Benue were released, even though the situation was not totally revealed what the terms were, but they've all been released.
The point is, when they want to show that they are working, I've seen it in close quarters. I don't want to tell that story so that we won't waste our time. But the point is, it is now becoming instructive that we must promote state policing. Those vigilante guys, they supplied information to DSS. What DSS probably did in that operation is to give them full firepower. Because most of them may just have their gun. But if DSS comes with double magazine, a magazine of AK-47 is 30 rounds. So when you double it,
Dambokolo himself and 173 supporters, followers.
Look, if there are 1 million, let them be killed. I don't bloody care.
But let's talk about Toji Bello himself, because you said that it's been said that they are cousins and of course from Nigeria Republic. With Dambokolo's death now, what happens to Bello Toji? What happens to Bello Toji? Will his days as a bandit leader be numbered, or will he continue to wreak havoc in the region, or will the government go ahead to try to make some deals with him? What are the possibilities?
For the first time after this Benue attack, Air Force went to Bandit's enclave and shelled them.
Yeah, in Niger.
Was there no Air Force before now? If Air Force will come to Arepo here just because of illegal bunkering and clear that place out, are we saying we don't know where these bandits stay? Now, government is now beginning to have that political will. And these people, you see, let me tell you one thing. I've related closely when I was covering crime with criminals. Those bold-faced, bare-chested, huge criminals, let them stay behind bars for 3 days. If they bring them out, you will swear that he has never committed any crime in life.
What happens?
They are so weak. They are fearful of their lives. If they arrest Toji, anyway, I don't want him to be arrested because it will become a political game. They should show us his dead body. He has done enough havoc in this country that he shouldn't be spared.
Because of time, I just need your reaction on the local people too. How will the local residents, how do you think they will feel now on, so far, the Shinkafi volunteer forces? Do you think that they should continue the government should support them, and how can they assist in making this community a safer place?
As a matter of fact, this vigilante force should guard its loin.
Okay.
Because there could be reprisal attack.
Right.
So they should not just celebrate and go to sleep. They should intensify their efforts and begin to push back more until other forces in other states, Niger State, Benue, this has embodied other states.
Right.
That look, if we take our destinies in our hands, then perhaps we'll overcome. And so let them continue to fight. Let them continue to decimate these people's rank. Over time, you'll find out that some of them that are lucky to flee with their lives, they will flee and will never return.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Delifanibo, for sharing
Always my pleasure.
Insight with us on People's Voice. And yeah, to our viewers, as we close the first half of 2025 on People's Voice today, we reflect on the stories that have shaped the nation, from politics to security, social justice. We've explored the issues that matter most to Nigerians. We are particularly interested in the well-being of our citizens, and we thank our viewers, guests, panelists, analysts, and viewers. Everyone that has been a part of the conversation. As we look ahead to the second half of the year 2025, we invite you to continue engaging with us on the issues that shape our nation. Let's work together to build a brighter future that we will be proud of. On behalf of the People's Voice team, I wish you a wonderful second half of the year, and may it be filled with hope, progress, and prosperity for Nigerians. Until next time, I am Adefunke Jaisimi, and I strongly believe in this project, Nigeria. Nigeria will be great again. Good afternoon, and God bless Nigeria.